I mean, Corey, for you guys, when you think of, narrative choices and things like that, how interesting is that for you and, your new studio? Alice, you're thinking about
all of
writing
those
a narrative?
things are incredibly interesting. In my mind, there is no one way or set path or formula for storytelling. I think there's room for every different sort of type of approach. I think that going forward, what we'll start to see more and more of is the convergence of all of the systems towards supporting what I would call the narrative experience, right? So it'll become less and less about siloing or segregating gameplay, cutscene gameplay, or you have certain systems that exist in this bucket. It's the idea of bringing everything together to serve an overall entertainment experience. So I think you'll continue to see different types of games, whether they're ones that present linear narrative versus branching and choices. And I think there's room for both. I think there's clearly a demand and a desire for both, and other types of experiences as well. I mean, we even have a lot of games out there that are very light on universe fiction, right, and game narrative, but provide players with the tools for telling their own player narratives, right? I would argue that something, for example, like League of Legends, tells really great stories every time you jump into a match. I remember talking to people about for me, some of the greatest stories in gaming moments come from, esports types games.
Yep, no, you're right, and they're even,
so I want all of it.
And a game like Journey, I mean, there's no dialogue in that game, yet it's an incredible story.
Yes.
That you sort of, project yourself into. So when we say narrative, it doesn't necessarily always just mean dialogue, right?
Right. It's a whole language. The way that you present the character, what you give the character do in the world, how you present the world, what the music does. It's all, there's storytelling tools that come from years and years of cinema, and there's storytelling tools that come from decades and decades of writing, and there's new storytelling tools that interactive has that those other mediums can't touch. So, we have the advantage right now of being at a point where everything is interactive and everything needs to be interactive. So this idea that integrating what we do well into these other storytelling mediums is part of the package too. Especially as audiences continue to grow and get more diverse, and pads come into play, and new devices come into play, and we can reach new gamers and new people.
But still, I think, you have to have a great game. And the one thing, in the past is like you could have a great game with not a very good story and people would still love it. But I think, today isn't still the case. So, the game has to be great. You can't have a game with a great story and terrible gameplay and people will still love it.
The experience has to be compelling.
Right.
That's what has to happen. The game can be whatever it is.
Even Walking Dead, is somewhat primitive sort of technology compared to like an Assassin's Creed in terms of, the gameplay and the frame rate and the fidelity, but it's the experience overall.
Well,
really
there's
grows.
the depth, the amount of depth inside when you're deciding whether to cut your arm off or not. That's a deep experience. Doesn't matter. Whatever you did to get there, everything that built up to that moment is one of the most difficult choices you might ever make in a game. And I say it competes against every other product out there on that level.
Absolutely.
So it's a depth of experience. It's not a how fast can I fire or that type of thing. And that's great. It should all be possible and it should all be doable, especially if people respond well to it.
Well, I think you said something really interesting, and I think it's a testament to the quality of the work that you guys did, that the game competes with all other forms of media, right? It's no longer a matter of saying, well, it's good for a game. For me, The Walking Dead was good for an entertainment experience. And I would argue, and I'd probably get in trouble for saying it, but I think that what you did is 10 times better than the show. I prefer your game to the show. It was a more involving, more emotional, more compelling experience for me. And to me, that's a huge achievement.
No, and also it reaches a wider audience than just the core gamer, and that's the thing. Is like someone who just wants a narrative experience can jump in there and I think have a great time. But then the core gamer can also get in there and appreciate what you guys are doing from a storytelling perspective.
Yeah, because it's delivering on that, and it's letting them feel like they're having an impact on it, which I think is the most important thing for a gamer. So I think that's cool.
Awesome. All right. Well, when we come back, we've got more talk about narrative in gaming.
See this and other GT shows and game reviews on the GT Originals iOS app, available now on the App Store.